Coach, obviously 2 games left in the season. Missouri's up next. What does Missouri do so well besides bomb 3-pointers? And what have you guys got to be ready for on Thursday night with a very late tip, quite the opposite of Sunday?
I think obviously Missouri's offense relies heavily on their ability to shoot the basketball. Their spacing is great. I think the other thing that you can always count on, and I think you see it, they improve in this area all year. They're just really intelligent. So whatever defensive game plan they'll have, they will execute it, and they can give you a variety of looks because their kids are pretty savvy. They're also really tough. I mean, they're just tough. They're going to make hustle plays all night. They're gonna know what they need to do to be successful. I think matchup wise, they can pose some problems because they can play 5 perimeter players.
Jimmy?
Kelly, Renee Davis was named the SEC Player of the Week. Just talk about how she has performed the last 2 games.
Well, I think Renee was able to, obviously in our South Carolina game, be a go-to player in that second half. We got her the basketball. She was feeling good, knocking down shots, making plays, and really got us back ahead and pushed us over the top. At Georgia, when we were stagnant early, she was one of the players that was actually making some shots. It wasn't easy. People are keying in on her, trying to make things tough for her, but love to see that she's still able to find ways to be successful and be productive.
Also, your assist to turnover ratio against Georgia was 3-20. How much do you focus on that statistic, and how much do you think help determine the outcome of a game?
Well, you don't want to see that number. Obviously, I think that's a number that doesn't scream success. I think that's how Georgia plays. I think they take you out of assists a lot of times, make you play one-on-one. They're a tough matchup for us because they do have good size, physicality in the paint, but their guards just get down and guard. They're really, really good defensively, and obviously caused a lot of problems for us. I thought to start the game, we had some opportunities to knock down some easy shots, and we just missed them. They rimmed out. And you've got to be able to find ways to be productive. As poorly as we played, still have a chance, at the end. And I think, I don't want to discount and discredit what Georgia did because I think their game plan was really solid.
Lewis?
Kelly, Sunday's going to be the last home game for this senior class. Renaya, Cassie, Jaden, what have they meant to you as being someone who's coached them for the last 2 years of their career at Tennessee?
Yeah, I think they're, kind of grouped them in a couple different categories. Obviously, Jaden, we brought her in, due to injuries. It's been unfortunate that she's not been able to be on the court as much as we had hoped. For Cassie and Renaya, just to see their growth even in the small time that we've had with them has been really fun. And I love all 3 of them. I think they all have different personalities. They've been fun to be around, and I'm proud of where they have helped this team go. And I think if you're missing that senior leadership and you're missing that senior experience, really pulling strongly, it's a big piece. And obviously this year, that's been really important to our team.
Maria?
Coach, there's a 4th senior, of course, in Kian Green. Can you update us on what her plans are or what her status is right now in terms of recovery?
Yeah, so obviously with COVID and with extra years, there's so many variables right now. And, we didn't want to make decisions about those type things until after the season is over, except for Kian is in a different position. We knew she wasn't going to have an opportunity to play again this year. So we've had those discussions. And as of right now, we're excited that she plans to come back next year for another year.
Gustavo?
Coach, with 2 games left, what do you expect to see from your team fix some issues, to head over to March with SEC tournament and the SAA tournament? What do you expect to kind of twerk or fix in terms to start postseason?
Well, we're hoping for we're hoping for good weather, good travel, and the opportunity to practice. I think that is as important for us right now as anything. We're excited about, honestly, today taking the court and trying to really work on Tennessee rather than another team, because I feel like we've been focused on our opponents for the last couple of weeks more so than us. So I'm excited that we'll get to work on us, and then to turn to Missouri tomorrow, and then obviously this weekend Auburn. What I'd like to see is us clean up some of the things that we need to do, some of the things that maybe we've gotten away from in the last couple of weeks that could make us a better basketball team if we get a little bit more consistent. So some of that's on the defensive end, some of it's on the offensive end. Before you go to the tournament, you want to make sure you're cleaning up anything, make sure that if there's something that really stands out, that you're working on that. And also, at some point between now and the tournament, obviously we've got to worry about Mizzou and Auburn, but before the tournament, honestly, you want to go through everything you've got in your arsenal. You want to review every defense you have. You want to review every offensive play, every thought that you could possibly have, because you go over to Greenville, you go to the NCAA tournament, and you've got to pull out all the stops in those games. So you got to make sure your team is ready.
Jimmy?
Kelly, with Tamari Key, she seems to draw some very questionable foul calls against her. And I just wonder how can she avoid that, and does that cause some frustration within her?
I think early on this season, you could see her having some frustration fouls. Now I think she's learned that her worth is greater than maybe a cheap foul. So she's really worked on that. I think it's an area still we need to emphasize. We can't control everything. So we can't control what's called and what is not called. What we can control is our actions and trying to keep ourselves as clean as possible in terms of foul trouble. And then, then we have to be able to control whatever is called. We've got to be able to play out of it, and not let frustration set in.
And also, can you tell before a game if your team's ready to play?
No. Let me back up. Let me actually answer that. I can typically tell. I shouldn't say that. I usually have a pretty good idea. And this year I felt like we've been ready to play just about every game. I did feel like our practice on Saturday was not great. So leading up to our Georgia game, we usually have really good practices, but I thought that Saturday practice was not one of those good ones. And I thought that hurt us a little bit. And then the fact that we didn't get a shoot around didn't have a shoot around because of a noon game, 4.5-hour bus ride. There wasn't a whole lot working in our favor going into this weekend. So I'm, as a coach, I'm trying to figure out the nice balance of moving on from this game versus learning from this game and figuring out what we need to be better at.
Will?
Yeah, with the season winding down, you guys are just in the top 4 of those SEC teams, so you get that bye to Friday. I guess, how much of the focus right now is that the team's destiny is in its own hands in these last 2 games, and is that the message you've been giving them?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be something that we talk about today at practice. We were off yesterday, and that'll be an area that we want to make sure we all understand what that means. Sometimes you can talk about it, but players don't really understand what that actually means. So we'll really be very specific about that. And, one of the things that I've talked to them about in the past is you want to be in a position to have some control. And when you're in a situation where you're hoping certain teams win so that the seeding falls a certain way, it's just not a good place to be in. It doesn't feel good when you're hoping that, something else happens that you have literally no control over. So I think we've got to focus on what we can control, understanding what the big picture is, but also, you take practice today. We got to be the best we can be today. We've got to find a way to get better today. And then tomorrow we have to be prepared to play Mizzou on Thursday. So I think every day there's a goal within the big picture.
We'll take one final question from Maria.
Coach, ironically, no one on your current roster has ever played on Friday to start playing on Friday in the SEC tournament. They have played on Friday, of course. I wanted to ask you about your point guard play. It's been a source of strength this season, but obviously there was slippage Sunday. You mentioned not being able to practice. Destiny's a freshman. Jordan Walker, her first year in the program. Jordan Horston, a sophomore. Just how do you think they will bounce back against Missouri? And how much are you putting a focus on getting that back up to the standard you expect?
Well, the one thing that I'll go back to, Maria, all season long, our team has bounced back. And I've been really proud, not just those particular players, but everybody has really bounced back after a loss. I think this one was pretty frustrating at Georgia. And I think this one's going to be a big challenge for our team to bounce back from. So we'll find out pretty quick what state of mind they're in. It's not anything that we have to do different. It's literally just going out and doing the things that we've done all season long. It's not, for us, it's not an overly complicated game plan. Just watching our team play and, seeing where we're at. Like I said, go back to, I think the practice will be good for a lot of players, and continuing to give us confidence about what we need to do.
Thank you, Coach, and thanks to everyone for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.